Coming up next on Scripps News Live, another key hearing involving former President Trump set for tomorrow. A preview of that hearing and the Trump-appointed judge involved.
History has shown that third-party candidates have a very difficult time gaining support.
A third-party option might be coming to the 2024 race for the White House. We'll have a preview of the town hall happening tonight and what it all could mean for President Biden's re-election hopes. And an Alabama woman missing for 2 days is safely back home again. The unanswered questions still lingering in that case. Coming up on Scripps News Live. Scripps News Live begins right now. Hello and welcome. I'm Veronica Dela Cruz. Great to see you on this Monday. We start this hour with a developing story right now in Miami, where a key hearing in the federal criminal case against former President Donald Trump gets underway tomorrow. A grand jury indicted Trump last month on 37 charges related to his alleged mishandling of classified documents. Judge Eileen Cannon will hold her first hearing in the case on how the classified material will be handled during the trial. Cannon is also expected to rule on a move by Trump's legal team last week to delay the trial. She initially set a trial date for August. The special counsel requested a date in early December. Scripps News national political reporter Avajoy Burnett joining us now live from Washington with the details here. So Avajoy, what are the expected developments in this federal case against Trump this week? What do you think we could see?
Hi, Veronica. Good afternoon to you. There's so many things that are happening this week. So let's start out with what we heard today. There was a court filing from the government in which they put forward a proposal for a protective order. And in this proposal, they're pretty much laying out the rules of the road on how things should be handled with regards to these classified documents. So number one, if this proposal is approved by the court, it will apply to anything in the pretrial phase, to the trial phase, and even in an appeals process with regards to these classified documents. And number two, they want to ensure that the people who are actually able to see these classified documents have the proper classified markings or classified certification to be able to see them. So if you don't have the proper classification here, or clearance, security clearance, they don't want for you to be able to see those documents. And in the proposal today, they also listed the former President Donald Trump and his co-defendant Walt Nauta as people who should not be able to see these documents if they don't have prior approval to do so. And they also put out guidelines out there on how these documents should be viewed. They mentioned a SCIF. This is something where someone would be able to go into a specific area and view the documents, protected from any outside eyes. So it gives you an idea of what we could start to see in Miami as the trial process moves forward on who will be able to see these documents and the circumstances under which they're able to see these documents. And I want to read for you a portion of what was written in that proposal from earlier today. It says any classified information provided to the defense by the government or the defendants are to be used solely by the defense and solely for the purpose of preparing for the defense. So it gives you an idea here that they want to be sure that the people who are seeing these documents aren't mishandling it. I just got off the phone with a former federal prosecutor who told me that these guidelines that we're seeing in this proposal from today, it is pretty standard, and it's something that the judge will ultimately be ruling on tomorrow when she has a CIPA hearing. It's a Classified Information Protective Act hearing that should be happening tomorrow around 1400, around 2 o'clock in the afternoon. And we also could hear from her with regards to the request to push off the trial date. Remember, the Trump team just 1 week ago requested that this trial date be pushed off possibly until next year after the election. So there's a possibility, Veronica, that she will also rule on that.
Yeah, there's a lot there happening in Florida, but I want to go ahead and move on to Georgia, Avajoy, because we also know that the former president's team has filed a request in a separate case. It's happening here in Georgia, and they did so late last week, and that was to disqualify the district attorney in this case. What more can you tell us about this development?
So this is a case that started back in 2021. After the 2020 general election, remember that phone call where the former president was heard on a recording asking Georgia officials to just find additional votes? Well, that ended up in an investigation. And the district attorney in Fulton County, she called together a grand jury, and then she also had a secondary grand jury that was seated last week. So now the former president's attorneys are, number one, trying to disqualify her from moving forward in this process at all. And they also want for any information that was that came about in the previous grand jury proceedings to not be allowed to be used in any future proceedings. I also spoke with attorneys over the weekend and today as well who believe this is really a last-ditch effort to try to derail this process, but they do not think it will work. And keep in mind that this is one of several cases that the former president is having to juggle. We know that there are cases in New York. There's a potential for him to be indicted once again in Georgia, and then there's a Florida case that we're also watching. So there are a lot of things to watch, especially this week when the judge could rule on this Classified Records Act, and then also the possibility of finding out when this case will actually go to trial, Veronica.
Yep, lots going on for sure. Avajoy, we appreciate you juggling it all for us. Avajoy Burnett there in Washington. Thank you. So Democratic Senator Joe Manchin is in New Hampshire right now, along with former Republican Governor Jon Huntsman, and they are attending a town hall hosted by the organization No Labels. The group is launching a platform tonight in hopes of supporting a third-party unity ticket for the 2024 election, a potential challenge to America's two-party system. Congressional correspondent Nathaniel Reed joining us now live from New Hampshire. Nate, we know that New Hampshire is a critical proving ground for presidential candidates. So what does this all mean? Is this talk meant to test the waters when it comes to a possible third-party presidential run?
I think that's the question on everyone's minds, Veronica. I mean, whenever you have any sort of political event here in New Hampshire, which has, by the state's constitution, the first presidential primary in the nation, there are concerns, or not concerns rather, but questions about whether this is a testing ground for a third-party presidential run. But we caught up earlier with Governor Jon Huntsman, who was a one-time presidential candidate himself back in 2012 and served twice as a U.S. ambassador overseas to both Russia and China. He told us that he is not mounting a campaign for the presidency and is not considering a third-party run. Have a listen.
I've done campaigning here before and been a governor of a state, lived overseas, see the importance of these common sense ideas. So it's an attempt to kind of infuse it into the bloodstream of politics, and what better way than to start here in New Hampshire.
But you're not campaigning.
Not campaigning. Does it look that way?
Well, it's New Hampshire. It certainly raises questions.
Well, this is where all important things start politically. So why not start at the grassroots level here in New Hampshire, where people care deeply about politics in this country?
But to be clear, not a campaign.
No, not a campaign.
And former Governor Huntsman will be appearing alongside Senator Joe Manchin, the Democrat from West Virginia, tonight at a town hall at St. Anselm College here in Manchester, New Hampshire. Certainly there are major questions about whether there could be a third-party ticket on the horizon. The Granite Staters we spoke to here in downtown Manchester certainly are not very enthused about former President Trump or President Joe Biden.
But did you notice, Nate? He said it not once, but twice. Not a campaign. Not a campaign. So clearly, the former governor obviously insisting that it's not a presidential run. But I think the question remains as to whether or not Americans want a third-party candidate that might not be President Joe Biden or former President Donald Trump. What are you hearing right now?
It's a really interesting point, Veronica, and I want to point you to some recent polling that was done in early July on how much Americans really do like the possible presidential picks, former President Trump and President Joe Biden. If we take a look at this Morning Consult poll conducted in early July, the question was, if the 2024 election were held today, who would you choose? 43% of respondents said current President Joe Biden. 42% of respondents said former President Donald Trump. But an incredibly statistically significant number, 10% said they would want to vote for someone else. 5% said they do not yet know. So certainly No Labels, the nonprofit organization which is organizing tonight's event, trying to seize on that dissatisfaction with former President Trump and President Biden. Certainly dissatisfaction we're hearing from folks in the Granite State here in downtown Manchester.
All right, congressional correspondent Nate Reed reporting live from New Hampshire for us. Nate, thank you so much. So again, Scripps News political correspondent Kevin Cirilli tonight will be moderating the discussion, and you can see it only here on Scripps News. It begins at 9 p.m. Eastern, 8 p.m. Central. Still to come on Scripps News Live, Russia putting a pause on a key deal that helped Ukraine and countries struggling with food insecurity. We're going to have the very latest on the Black Sea Grain Initiative. Also, climate change now causing some cities to sink. The places most at risk right now, and what solutions are on the table.
We're on the front lines with the brave soldiers creating safe passage for their comrades.
Are you taking out one mine at a time when you've got thousands on a battlefield?
Tonight at 8/7 Central, only on Scripps News Tonight.
I was having problems with my legs and my feet.
I suffered a lot of cramps, swelling.
I would dread going up and down steps.
Tingling in my legs due to circulation issues.
The aches and pains have just continued to increase.
Did you know if you have high blood pressure, high cholesterol, diabetes, or are over 40, your leg aches and pains could be from poor circulation? Revitive can help reduce leg aches and pains, swelling, and cramps. Revitive uses breakthrough technology to get your calf muscles pumping like a second heart to increase blood flow, reducing leg aches and pains, cramps, or swollen feet and ankles.
Plus, it's drug-free.
The cramping was terrible, and I don't get that anymore. Thank you, Revitive.
Revitive is FDA cleared and clinically proven to increase oxygen-rich blood flow during use. The smart stimulation works so well, over 3 million people use Revitive.
As a firefighter, I'm constantly on my feet. I wish I had known about Revitive a lot earlier. It would have made a huge difference in really who I am today.
Revitive has given me a better quality of life because I am living without pain.
Revitive reduces leg pains 2 times more than exercise alone in just 6 weeks.
We want to take walks. We want to do more social activities, just the typical things in life that I did not feel well enough before Revitive that I was able to do.
Now, Revitive is regenerizing my legs and making me feel like, let's do more.
Go to Revitive.com now to learn how Revitive can help reduce leg aches and pains, swelling, and cramps.
The doctor said, go for it. And I'm in the best shape in terms of my legs and my ankles and my feet than I've ever been.
Try Revitive. You will see the difference. It works. It worked for me.
Get the most out of life with Revitive. Visit Revitive.com. That's REVITIVE.com. Or call
1-800-317-6641. That's 1-800-317-6641 today. Or visit Revitive.com. Order now.
This is a paid advertisement for legal services. Breaking news for anyone who spent time at Camp Lejeune before 1988. President Biden has signed the PACT Act. This means you may be entitled to significant compensation from the federal government. If you or a family member spent time at Camp Lejeune, you consumed toxic water known to cause serious health issues, injuries, and even death. A special hotline has been established. Call now for a free case evaluation. Just call 800-793-0837 now. Even if you've been turned down in the past, this new legislation allows you to refile a claim. This will not affect your eligibility for VA disability benefits. These are benefits you earned and deserve. We encourage anyone who spent time at Camp Lejeune to file a claim. Call now to see if you or loved ones qualify for significant compensation from the federal government. Don't wait. Just call 800-793-0837 now. That's 800-793-0837.
So climate change is deforming the literal surface of the planet. Scientists are finding that certain regions of the Earth are sinking, especially in coastal areas, and they're sinking fast, all boosted by rising temperatures and extreme weather events. Now this settling or sinking of land is called land subsidence. Examples of sinking cities here in the U.S. include New York, Houston, and New Orleans. For more on this now, we're joined live by Alessandro Rodaloria. Alessandro is the assistant professor of civil and environmental engineering at Northwestern University, which recently published a first-of-its-kind study on urban land subsidence and its impact. Professor, thank you so much for your time today.
Thank you for having me.
So, Professor, your expertise is in geomechanics and environmental sustainability. Can you explain the impact that rising heat is having right now on the ground beneath many cities here in the U.S.?
Sure. So most urban areas worldwide suffer from a phenomenon that is often called underground climate change or subsurface urban heat islands. And this phenomenon results from the fact that underground structures such as building basements, parking garages, underground tunnels, and so on and so forth continuously reject heat in the ground. Some heat also comes from the surface of cities. And as a result of this, really the ground is warming up. Now, because soils, rocks, and construction materials such as concrete deform when subjected to temperature variations, what is happening is that the ground is deforming, is moving. And this has an influence on civil structures and infrastructures.
All right, so obviously people hear this and they might start panicking because it does sound quite frightening. But I do want to ask you how concerning this is. How is it going to affect people? At what pace is the ground really sinking? How soon could people, notice a difference?
So yes, people should not be frightened by this phenomenon. So it's important to stress that the effects of underground climate change are unlikely to threaten the safety of people and to yield the collapse of structures and infrastructures. But instead, these effects can affect on a case-by-case basis the so-called functional performance, the operational performance of civil structures and infrastructures. In other words, through the development of excessive settlement, angular distortion of structural members, tilting and cracking, these effects can impair the function of structures, their aesthetic requirements, and their long-term durability. So these are effects that are indeed important. The good news is that they don't threaten the life of people, but nonetheless, they should be considered. The effects are slow. Some of them have already happened, and whereas others are still there to happen. And so for this reason, this phenomenon should be mitigated in the years to come.
All right, so you're saying that the effects are slow, but in some cases we are already noticing a difference. Where in the world is this happening right now? Where are scientists noticing a difference?
So these effects are most noticeable in the denser and older urban areas worldwide. In cities such as Chicago, but New York, these effects are likely to be particularly pronounced. But also, if you think about the older world and cities such as London, Paris, and Rome, it is renowned that these cities suffer from an underground climate change. And so these effects are there. They're happening slowly but continuously.
Now, I understand that research also shows that some areas are experiencing something called an uplift, meaning that the land, instead of sinking, will actually rise. What's behind this, and are there any reasons for concern?
Yes, that's also correct. So soils, as opposed to most materials, not only expand when they're heated, but they can also contract. And so depending on the considered city, depending on the considered area, soils might behave in a very different manner. And as you said, not only contract upon heating, which is a kind of striking phenomenon, but also expand. And all of these ground movements can affect, on a case-by-case basis, really the operational performance of civil structures and infrastructures, again, with effects that include differential displacements, angular distortions, and phenomena like that.
So how can cities get ahead of this? How should they be dealing with it right now? And is there a silver lining to any of this? Or is it just all bad news?
No, I am convinced that this also is very good news. So it's the order of magnitude of these deformations is concerning. And so this is what brought my group to bring them in front of the scientific community and the public. And so this phenomenon represents a so-called silent hazard. At the same time, I do believe that it represents significant opportunity for cities, especially because it allows us to enhance the sustainability and the energy efficiency of built environments. There are particularly two mitigation strategies that can be considered, and which are very concrete and relatively straightforward. The first one consists of retrofit interventions devoted to the application of thermal insulation in underground building enclosures to basically minimize the amounts of heat that would be rejected in the ground otherwise. And the second mitigation strategy consists of the deployment of shallow geothermal technologies and ground source heat pump systems through which these heat could be absorbed and reutilized in smart ways in buildings and infrastructures for space heating, but also hot water production.
All right. It does sound like there is plenty of work, though, ahead in order to mitigate all of the risks involved with this. But you're saying that it's not all bad news at the end of the day, so a little bit of good news as well. Alessandra Roto-Loria is an assistant professor at Northwestern University. Professor, thank you so much for your time today. And now into some developments and a correction to a story that we brought you recently about high school grads wearing Native regalia as part of graduation attire. We featured the stories of students who have worn their tribal regalia to graduation as a way to honor their heritage and religion. The story included a lawsuit filed by Lena Black, a member of the Otoe, Missouri tribe, who sued her school district in Oklahoma for what she claims was the forcible removal of a sacred eagle feather from her graduation cap last spring.
She ended up sort of falling to the ground and was crying, and her family was there, and they all feel this so deeply.
Our original story stated that the Broken Arrow School District did not comment, but that was an error. In fact, a spokesperson had responded to an inquiry from Scripps News. Now we like to share comments and information from court filings from the district, which were available but not included in the original story. In court documents, attorneys for the Broken Arrow School District denied and prohibited Lena Black from wearing her sacred eagle plume to her high school graduation. The school district simply did not permit the plaintiff to attach or affix her plume to her mortarboard. The school district also said in the court documents that an assistant principal apologized for how the situation was handled and explained that the district would make sure going forward that the procedure for getting items approved to wear during the ceremony is much more clear. In a separate statement to the media, the school district shared photos from its court filing of students wearing Native regalia to the 2022 graduation ceremony and wrote that its students do have the option to add items to their graduation regalia. Not only do we make exceptions for the Native American tribes, we also allow other religious and ethnic heritages to be celebrated by the wearing of specific items. The district went on to indicate there's a process to deviate from the traditional dress code, adding that this year, by the time graduation actually took place, we had more than 100 students who had followed the process to add items to their attire. In new developments to this story, the school district also filed and won a motion to dismiss 2 school employees from the lawsuit, one retired and one current district employee. The school district successfully argued that there was no public record of the 2 employees' involvement in this incident at all. And still ahead on Scripps News Live, an Alabama woman recovering after she disappeared for 2 days after she allegedly stopped to check on a toddler wandering near a busy interstate. What we've learned so far about the case, and UPS taking measures to prepare for a possible strike, who you might see delivering a package if a labor deal with union members isn't reached soon. We'll be right back.
Time to get up, sweetie.
Most people might not think much about all the little things they do every day. But for me, just being able to do those little things is the best part of my day. Ready, Mom? It hasn't been easy, but sometimes the hardest things in life have the best rewards. And it's all because of my amazing friends at the Shriners Hospitals for Children and people like you who support them every month. When you call the number on your screen and just give $19 a month, you'll be helping other kids like me do the amazing things that make up the best part of our day. Because Shriners Hospital is more than just a hospital. It's when my back is better, where my legs get stronger, where I get to be a kid, where it's the best part of my day.
With your gift of just $19 a month, only 63 cents a day, we'll send you this adorable Love to the Rescue blanket as a thank you.
Please, go online to loveshriners.org right now, on your phone or computer, to send your love to the rescue today. Will you send your love to the rescue today? Thank you. Thank you. Thank you for giving. Because at Shriners Hospitals for Children, going to the hospital is like going to see family. It really is the best part of my If operators are busy, please wait patiently or go to loveshriners.org right away. Your gift will help kids just like me have the best part of our day.
I like the always pan and perfect pot, but you look like fun. Only at our place.
We're back for $500. Can you take it? Hair from the drain. Salmon, we heard you're allergic.
I can't take it.
Oh, Mimi, you ready?
There's an easier way you can get up to $500 in 5 minutes or less when you download Dave.
Sunday nights on In Real Life.
And for the baby?
Yeah.
Scripps News journalists take you off the grid.
We were just a bunch of kids with a camera.
Stunts have become more specialized.
And to the heart of the story.
When the pandemic hit, the American dream kind of changed.
There were a lot of warning signs. They just didn't care.
In Real Life, Sunday at 8, 7 Central, only on Scripps News.
340,000 UPS employees preparing to go on strike. That's if they don't get a new labor deal by the end of the month. Now UPS is working on a plan to keep those packages moving. They're training non-union workers to take their place. UPS says this move is temporary. The current contract expires on July 31st and negotiations have stalled. Union workers make up half the company's workforce. They are demanding better pay and working conditions. United Airlines pilots have reached a deal for a new 4-year contract. The tentative agreement gives pilots a pay raise up to 40%. The Airline Pilots Association says the deal also improves retirement benefits, job security, and quality of life issues. The agreement still has to be approved by the association's 16,000 members. So affordable housing is a big problem right now across the country. And when it comes to housing for teachers in high-rent areas, it becomes even more difficult. A California school is experimenting with a new program hoping to attract quality teachers. The Grower School in San Diego will be offering homes at affordable rates for new hires. And the school has bought nearby property for an athletic facility. And then they've decided instead to fix up the homes so that new teachers could rent them. The school's founder says it's something that all schools should be considering.
It's clear that the future is going to be going to require this, as school leaders do everything possible to get great people into this profession.
Just being able to not have to worry about finding housing like that, just knowing that it's there and it's secure, is just such a weight off of people's shoulders.
The plan is aiming to help teachers save on rent and gas that they would use for commuting. I'm Veronica De La Cruz. Thank you so much for joining us. For the audience leaving us right now, your local programming is up next. And don't forget to check us out on ScripsNews.com. Now, if you are staying with us, we have much more news headed your way right here on Scripps News Live. Don't go too far.
Do you spend hours maintaining your gutters? Save that time with LeafGuard's maintenance-free system. Call 1-833-2-GUTTERS. Mesh filters sit on top of your gutters, building up debris and eventually clogging. Then they need to be cleaned too. Honestly, your home should have been built with LeafGuard gutters. LeafGuard's wraparound hood deflects debris and keeps water away from your home. The one-piece seamless system is strong, 20% thicker than average, and built to last. Plus, LeafGuard is guaranteed to never clog for as long as you own your home. Right now, get a complete LeafGuard system for only $99 down, $99 a month, and $99 installation. You'll also receive a $100 Visa gift card with a free gutter inspection and in-home estimate. Damage from clogged gutters can cost you thousands. Never worry about clogged gutters again. Don't wait, you've still got time. Call 1-833-2-GUTTERS today. That's 1-833-2-GUTTERS.
If you're living with diabetes, this is the sound that could change your life.
Great news for people living with diabetes. Now you can wear a continuous glucose monitor and eliminate routine finger sticks. The days of repeated, painful finger sticks are over.
Call 800-719-8907.
If you use insulin daily to manage your condition, a continuous glucose monitor could help you control your diabetes and reduce or eliminate those painful finger sticks. If you have Medicare or private insurance, US Med can deliver a CGM system right to your door. And if you qualify, there may be little or no cost to you. Shipping is free, and we'll even bill your insurer directly. Call now to get your continuous glucose monitoring system so you can take control of your diabetes and get back to enjoying life.
Call 800-719-8907. That's 800-719-8907.
Let's get you updated right now on some of our top stories. A key hearing in the federal criminal case against former President Donald Trump scheduled for tomorrow in Miami. Judge Eileen Cannon will hold her first hearing in the case on how the classified material will be handled during the trial. A grand jury indicted Trump last month on 37 charges related to his alleged mishandling of classified documents. Sir Elton John testifying today as part of actor Kevin Spacey's sexual assault trial in the UK. John and his husband, David Furnish, were asked about Spacey's presence at a fundraising event at their home. Spacey is being accused of assaulting one of his accusers while driving to the event. John said Spacey attended the event only one time in 2001. The alleged victim claims the assault happened in either 2004 or 2005. Russian President Vladimir Putin warning his country will retaliate if Ukraine uses newly arrived cluster bombs from the United States. Putin said Russia has a sufficient stockpile of cluster munitions, and Russia, quote, reserves the right to take reciprocal action if Ukraine uses its weapons. Putin added Russia hasn't used its supply, although it's been widely documented that Russia and Ukraine have used them. Hey there, welcome to Scripps News Live. Good to see you on this Monday. I'm Veronica Dela Cruz. I want to get you now to some news out of Russia. A wartime deal allowing Ukraine to export grain to developing nations has ground to a halt. A Kremlin spokesperson says that the deal will be paused until the provision to cut Russia into it is implemented. Ukraine is one of the largest suppliers of wheat, barley, sunflower oil, and other food products. Now, the pause has prompted renewed concerns over a growing hunger crisis. International correspondent Sally Patterson joining us now live from New York, right outside the United Nations. So, Sally, what more can you tell us about why Russia is holding out here and the effect that this might be having across the globe?
Well, just in the last half an hour, we've heard from the Ukrainian foreign minister who called this an irresponsible move. He said that corridors to get grain out of Ukraine must continue, or it will put people in Asia and Africa at serious risk as food prices rise because of the news that we've seen. Now, let's just remember why this deal is so important. It was brought together after Russia's invasion of Ukraine in February last year. It was brought together by the United Nations and Turkey, and really it was designed to ensure that grain that was being blocked into Ukraine because of Russian ships, which were basically blockading it into the country, it was to allow that grain to be able to get out and travel around the world and really be delivered to so many of the world's population who really relied on it. Some of the world's poorest people rely on that grain. Between them, Russia and Ukraine produce around 30% of wheat supplies and around 75% of sunflower oil. So really huge quantities of food and agricultural produce there, as well as fertilizer. And it was really important to be able to help to get that produce out of Ukraine and into the rest of the world. Now, twice since that deal was brokered in summer last year, we've seen it almost expire. And Russia has basically allowed it continue, but said it will only do so if its side of the deal, it says, is kept. And what it really wants is for its own produce, its own fertilizer, its own agricultural produce to be able to also reach world markets. And it says that the United Nations and the rest of the world isn't doing enough to allow it to do so. It says that Western sanctions are basically suffocating it and not allowing it to also be able to sell and trade its own produce. And it said, it has been saying really for a while that if that isn't allowed to happen, it will not continue this deal that it agreed to. And that really has come into force today, where it says it's going to allow it to expire. It's not going to allow that produce to reach destinations anymore. And it's also said that ships which were leaving Ukraine, which it had been giving safe passage to, would no longer necessarily be safe to be able to reach their destination. So we've had a lot of feedback from different people people around the world. We are watching as a Security Council meeting takes place at the United Nations in New York, and we're waiting to hear what comes out of that. But really, some very strong words being spoken about Russia's ongoing war. We've heard from the United Kingdom, who said that Russia has the power to stop the war. Today, they've called on Vladimir Putin, the president of Russia, to pull his troops home and stop this ongoing war. And there is a real fear that people around the world will go hungry because of the end of this trade deal that we're seeing today. There is a real risk that millions of people around the world could starve, and there are food prices already soaring as a response to what we've seen on Monday, already going up almost 3%. And so there is concern over the coming days, weeks and months that things will get worse, and that some of the world's most vulnerable people in some of the most developing nations will feel the brunt of today's expiration.
Yeah, this really could have a huge impact on things. International correspondent Sally Patterson, we appreciate your reporting on this. Thank you. In the meantime, Russia is blaming Ukraine for an attack that damaged a portion of a bridge that connects Russia to Crimea. Russia is saying 2 Ukrainian drones carried out the attack. 2 people were killed. The bridge is a key supply route for Russian forces. And Ukraine didn't take responsibility officially. However, a security service spokesperson said that he would explain how the attack was organized after Kyiv wins the war. Russia annexed Crimea illegally in 2014. Right now, there are still many questions about an Alabama woman's 2-day disappearance. Carly Russell called police on Thursday night to say that she saw a toddler walking alone along a highway. But when authorities got to the scene, Carly was gone. But some of her belongings were still there, and it triggered a statewide search. National correspondent Stephanie Sandoval has been following this story closely for us. Stephanie, what more can you tell us about this case?
Veronica, when she returned home, she was immediately taken to a hospital in Birmingham to be evaluated and has since been treated and released. Investigators later spoke to Carly while she was at the hospital to get more information about where she was. The police department says it's now using that information in an ongoing investigation that will hopefully shed some light into her disappearance.
Late Saturday night, police say Carly Russell showed up at her family's front door on foot after being missing for 2 days. She was taken to a local hospital for evaluation and released. What happened to her since she disappeared remains unclear. Police aren't releasing any more details. Her mother posted her thanks for everyone's kindness, generosity, and compassion. "Our baby is safe," she wrote. "Thank you, Father God." The 25-year-old went missing Thursday night. She had called 911, telling the operator she could see a male toddler walking along the side of Interstate 459, and she was stopping to help. She called a relative to tell them the same thing. The family member lost contact with her, but the phone line remained open. Police are analyzing traffic camera footage of the incident. When police arrived on the scene minutes later, they found Russell's car, her wig, phone, and purse, but there was no sign of Russell or the child. Police say Russell's 911 call is the only report of a child on the interstate. An intense search of the area continued for about 48 hours until the 911 call came in that she returned home. The investigation is ongoing.
And to help find Russell, donors donated more than $60,000 to Crime Stoppers of Central Alabama to be used as reward money. That money is now reportedly being returned back to donors, and that the Hoover Police Department says it isn't requesting any payouts in this case. The department says that there will be a press conference to give an update. Details of when have not been released. Veronica?
All right, Stephanie Sandoval live for us there in Nashville. Stephanie, thank you so much for the update. So right now, Hollywood's actors and writers both on strike and preparing for unemployment for what could be several more months. SAG-AFTRA members began their strike on Friday. Writers Guild members have been on strike since May. Both groups calling for better wages and a revamp of the streaming model, as well as protections against the use of artificial intelligence. National correspondent Morris Sirianni has a closer look for us.
Octavia Spencer and Allison Janney.
Drew Waters and Aaron Bethea are working actors who met on a movie set in 2012.
We had the same like-mindedness of what we wanted to accomplish in our careers.
A Hollywood love story in real life, but the couple decided to pack up and leave LA and head for the Hollywood of the South, Atlanta, Georgia.
One day we literally looked at each other and I was like, I think it might be time to go to Georgia for my acting career, which was a sentence I really never thought I would say.
Once in the Peach State, Drew and Aaron got married and opened Argentum Entertainment, a production company. And in the spring of 2021, during a worldwide pandemic, fulfilled Aaron's dream of opening Greenlight Acting Studio.
Just out of the desire to offer actors an opportunity to continue their personal growth, even in the midst of sort of a worldwide shutdown.
Flash forward to 2023, actors are experiencing another type of shutdown, but this one is self-imposed. As SAG-AFTRA union members now walk a picket line demanding a new contract with better pay, safeguards against artificial intelligence, and more residuals from streaming services like Netflix and Disney.
We start out doing 1, 2, 3, 5 jobs trying to keep up with our love and passion for this, and then see it exploited everywhere, and we have no gain from it.
And the strike doesn't just keep actors off the set. They're also not allowed to participate in auditions or rehearsals.
What we do here is we really try to equip actors to be able to submit the best audition they possibly can.
Which means Greenlight can't produce audition tapes for actors until the strike is over. But during this time, both Aaron and Drew encourage actors to find other ways to keep their skills sharp, like taking classes, participating in student films or musical theater.
Be a part of those communities, because when we do come back, they may say, hey, we're gonna go shoot this and we'd love for you to act in it. We'd love for you to be a part of it.
Aaron says the strike isn't just about the present. It's about protecting the future of an industry that we all rely on to keep us entertained.
But is also about taking the necessary step back so that the next decade, generation, whatever, of actors that comes after you are set up for success.
Mara Sirianni, Scripps News Atlanta.
Now, before the writers' strike, there were 34 productions being filmed in Georgia. Now it's down to 20, and of those 20, 14 are reality television shows. Straight out on Scripps News Live, which states are seeing more and more Alzheimer's patients? We're going to take a closer look at the first of its kind research next, and what's actually inside those supplements claiming to give your energy a boost. What one study has found, and the ingredients that you want to watch out for. And we would like to hear from you. You can give us a call on our Scripps News viewer hotline toll free. That number is 1-833-4SCRIPPS. Again, it's 1-833-472-7477. Feel free to share your comments and your story ideas. We'll be right back.
Welcome to the place where people go to learn about their Medicare options before they're on Medicare.
Come on in. You're turning 65 soon? Yeah. And you're retiring at 67?
That's the plan.
Well, you've come to the right place.
Now's the time to plan ahead. Learn about an AARP Medicare Supplement Insurance Plan from United Healthcare, and how a plan like this helps you take charge of your healthcare with lower out-of-pocket costs. Here's why. Medicare alone doesn't pay for everything. Your deductibles and copays could add up to hundreds, even thousands of dollars a year.
Everyone's a little surprised to learn that one.
Adding a Medicare supplement plan helps pay some of what Medicare doesn't. And that could mean fewer surprises and more predictable out-of-pocket costs. Call United Healthcare and ask for your free decision guide. Or talk with a licensed insurance agent or producer to learn more about plan benefits, options, and rates. Medicare supplement plans let you choose any doctor, any specialist, anywhere in the U.S. who accepts Medicare patients. You don't have to deal with any networks or referrals. This kind of plan also goes with you anywhere you travel in the country. If you're turning 65 soon or over 65 and planning to retire, find out more about the only Medicare supplement plans endorsed by AARP.
Thumbs up to that.
Remember, the time to prepare is before you go on Medicare.
Don't wait. Get started today.
Take charge of your health care. Call United Healthcare for your free decision guide and learn more about lowering your out-of-pocket Medicare costs and seeing any doctor who accepts Medicare patients.
Oh, and happy birthday or retirement in advance.
It's Christmas all July at Balsam Hill.
It's never too early to save, so why wait? Get amazing deals now on our wide variety of exclusive designs. Find the perfect tree at up to 50% off at balsamhill.com.
How can a photo become a vibrant part of your home? When you go to tryfracture.com and print your images directly on glass. Get beautiful depth and clarity on a sleek frameless print that's easy to hang and looks incredible in any space. Go to tryfracture.com now to save 20% on glass prints.
When Lila was ready to sell her ring, she sent it to Worthy, where they took care of everything and auctioned it on her terms. Then, Worthy sent Lila her money. You're worthy of more. Get started at worthy.com.
We're on the front lines with the brave soldiers creating safe passage for their comrades.
Are you taking out one mine at a time when you've got thousands on a battlefield?
Tonight at 8/7 Central, only on Scripps News Tonight.
Well, COVID isn't really top of mind for many Americans anymore, but the virus is still out there. Experts in Michigan's Oakland and Wayne counties are saying that active investigations are still underway, and that's despite low case numbers, all to prevent future outbreaks. This ongoing effort includes 9 cases that investigators are following up on. They're looking at positive cases in the region, identifying outbreaks in long-term care facilities, shelters, and other high-risk settings. Experts are saying there is less than 24 positive cases of COVID-19 reported at any given time, but they are warning that actual numbers are likely higher. And that's thanks to unreported results from at-home testing.
It is important to recognize that the virus is still with us. COVID is not over, even if the pandemic has been declared over by federal and state authorities, and that we should always still remain vigilant and be ready to protect ourselves and our loved ones.
While vaccines are resulting in milder symptoms for many, the risk is still higher for children, seniors, the immunocompromised, and unvaccinated. The upcoming fall could also pose new challenges in tackling the virus as people gather indoors. The CDC still urges anyone who tests positive to quarantine for 5 days and wear a mask for 5 more when out in public. Another experimental drug can reportedly slow the progression of Alzheimer's symptoms. The research looked at drug maker Eli Lilly's donanemab, and results so far show that the drug can modestly slow patients' worsening by 4 to 7 months. Now, the company shared the data during an Alzheimer's Association international meeting earlier, and Eli Lilly is seeking approval from the FDA, and if cleared, then the drug would be the second Alzheimer's treatment following Leqembi's approval earlier this year. Scientists say the main concerns about both drugs would be brain swelling or bleeding. In the meantime, Alzheimer's is most common among seniors in the east and southeastern United States. Researchers say that Alzheimer's rates are the highest in Maryland, and that's followed by New York and Mississippi. In Miami-Dade County, Baltimore, and the Bronx, 1 in 6 seniors has the disease. Experts say that women are also more likely to have the disease than men. A new study out shows that dozens of sport supplement labels are misrepresenting what is actually in the bottle. In some cases, the supplements contain stimulants that were banned by the FDA. Stephen Graddick explains the risks.
What we found was really shocking.
Capsules, pills, and powders, all claiming to make you stronger and more energized, could cause you harm.
You have no idea what you're putting in your body.
Dr. Peter Cohen with Cambridge Health Alliance was among the researchers who studied nearly 60 types of sports supplements sold by online retailers. The products labeled up to 5 new botanical ingredients, which are plants used for medicinal purposes, that claim to boost health and better workouts.
Only like 10% products had an accurate description of what was in it.
Results showed 89% of the supplements claiming to use at least one of the botanicals misrepresented what was actually in the bottle. Some levels of the ingredients were up to 330% higher than the listed amount. Researchers also discovered 40% of the products didn't have any botanicals at all. Cohen says that means they don't have a firm understanding of what's actually in the supplements or what the risks are, because the ingredients have never been tested in humans for safety.
We only screened for a certain number of chemicals and drugs. It's possible that there's still other ingredients that might be harmful that we didn't yet identify in these products.
Cohen adds, the most troubling discovery is some of the supplements even contained stimulants banned by the FDA. Cohen says the stimulants paired with exercise could cause serious health problems.
Heart attacks and something called arrhythmias, or the heart its rhythm being out of whack or even bleeding into the brain are things that I worry about if someone takes a high dose of a stimulant and then goes and exercises.
The FDA has very little oversight when it comes to dietary supplements, including ensuring they are effective and safe. Current laws do require a supplement manufacturer to oversee the quality and safety of its products. But the FDA does not test products or approve claims like faster weight loss or more energy. Regulators can only come in if there's widespread evidence the supplements cause harm or are misleading customers about their ingredients. But Cohen says even then, the FDA struggles to stay on top of the mislabeled and fraudulent products.
They can't get a handle on getting these off store shelves because manufacturers can simply introduce another brand, reprint their labels, and keep on selling their products.
The study notes the sample size was small and results could vary based on batches. But still, Cohen says using the supplements isn't worth the risk.
Just because the ingredients accurately list on label doesn't mean it's safe.
Stephen Graddick, Scripps News.
Coming up next on Scripps News Live, a flight attendant now flying high as a hero. That's all thanks to his quick thinking. How it involved a missing passport and an improvised relay team. That's after the break. And we'd like to remind you right here to follow us at Scripps News on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, and on Threads. We'll be right back.
Attention all seniors. You can now get up to $50,000 for your funeral and other final expenses, including your credit card debt, with no medical exam, starting at less than $1 a day.
Oh, honey, your dad and I can't stop talking about this baby that's coming.
We've also been thinking a lot about our future, and no matter what, we want to make sure we aren't leaving you and your family with any of our debts.
Just last week, we read that the price of a funeral can be $8,000 or more.
Wow, Jeff and I definitely would not have the money to pay for that.
And that's just a funeral. But you don't have to worry. We called, and with one phone call, we were eligible for $50,000 for our funeral and final expenses.
Well, that's great, but don't you need to take a medical exam to qualify? You and Mom have some health issues.
No. There's no medical exam, and we were able to get coverage right over the phone.
And our rates can never be increased, our benefits can never be decreased, and our coverage can never be canceled.
I'm so glad you made that call.
Don't leave loved ones with your debt. Call 800-339-7996 now and see if you qualify for up to $50,000 for your funeral and other final expenses, starting at less than $1 a day. There's no medical exam, and you can be approved even if you have pre-existing health conditions. Your rates can never be increased, your benefits can never be decreased, and your coverage can never be canceled. There's no obligation. Call 800-339-7996 now. There's no paperwork, no hidden fees, and no waiting periods. And you can start coverage right over the phone, starting at less than $1 a day. Call 800-339-7996. That's 800-339-7996. 800-339-7996.
Meet Pair Eyewear, the only glasses brand that lets you change your glasses like you change your clothes. Simply snap on a top frame and you're ready to go. Now you can customize a look for every outfit, every occasion, and every day. With hundreds of designs to choose from, Pair makes it easy to match your style and build a collection you'll love. You can even snap on a sun top to instantly turn your pair into sunglasses. Start building your collection today at paireyewear.com.
This is a paid advertisement for legal services. If you've been diagnosed with mesothelioma, call now. Billions have been set aside for victims. You may be entitled to compensation. Call now, 1-800-712-3700. That's 1-800-712-3700.
For over 100 years, this light has shined. A beacon of the free American press.
Reporting from Ukraine, Scripps News.
And now, this light shines even brighter. Scripps News.
All right, listen to this. Some deputies in Mississippi got a pretty unusual call about a camel on the lam. Forest County deputies had to track down Clyde. Clyde normally lives on a farm with bison and zebras, but over the weekend, Clyde decided to take a trip outside of his fence and go for a stroll. Deputies were helped by Clyde's curiosity, capturing him after he got interested in this deputy's hat. Oh, Clyde. It's something we all dread on the way to the airport, realizing that you left something behind and it was crucial. The couple in our next story almost missed out on their honeymoon cruise because of a forgotten passport. Kimberly Craig with Scripps News Detroit tells us how a quick-thinking flight attendant was able to save the day.
Here at Detroit Metro Airport is where Joe and Lauren took off on a Delta flight to head to a much-anticipated cruise when they suddenly realized their honeymoon was in jeopardy.
I was thinking we were going to have to cancel or change our honeymoon, and it was going to be all my fault.
Newlyweds Lauren and Joe Fellwalk of Ann Arbor had just exchanged I-do's in a small ceremony, looking forward to a lifetime of wedded bliss. Joe's sister drove the excited couple to the airport for a flight from Detroit to San Juan, Puerto Rico, where they were to set sail on a Caribbean cruise. But before they even took off, Lauren delivered a shocker.
My wife looked at me and said, "Oh, blank, I don't have my passport. What do we do?"
A lot of devastation for sure.
On Instagram, Joe began to chronicle the drama as they tried to figure out how to get his bride's passport to Puerto Rico overnight.
I would say about halfway through the flight, we realized that nothing that we could come up with on our own was going to work. And I kind of just threw a Hail Mary.
That long shot would involve a perfect stranger, one of the flight attendants named Dusty Dills. That's him crouched down next to the couple. And sure enough, Dusty came up with a plan.
Dusty told us, here's what I can do, Joe. I'm flying back to Detroit right after this flight. I'm turning around. So if you can somehow get the passport to DTW around 9 o'clock or whenever it is I land, I can then take it with me the next day to Atlanta.
Joe called his sister Jackie and she rushed the forgotten passport to the airport. Here she is handing it off to Dusty, and with his help and a few other Delta employees along the way, Lauren's passport made it to San Juan just in time.
I consider that the greatest wedding gift we could have asked for.
This was so much larger than me. During this whole process, it really taught me so much about the importance of teamwork.
And we made it on the cruise with about an hour and a half to spare.
Lauren and Joe had a fabulous time on their honeymoon cruise and can't wait to see a couple of special guests they've invited to their reception in a few weeks. Dusty and another Delta employee who was instrumental in making it all happen.
I felt like probably the luckiest bride on earth.
Having Dusty do all that for us really kind of instilled faith in me that there are still good people out there.
We have so many friends and family that have been following our story and are so excited to meet Dusty. So to just bring him and his fellow flight attendants into our community, I'm so excited. I hope we stay friends for much longer after this.
What a great story and a great wedding gift indeed. Congratulations to the new couple and great job by the honeymoon heroes there, Dusty Dills, and the whole Delta crew. Okay, pay attention because the Powerball jackpot is now the third largest in the game's history. It's climbed to an estimated $900 million after no one was able to match the 6 winning numbers on Saturday night. The next drawing, though, is tonight. Fingers and toes crossed. The Mega Millions estimated $640 million is also up for grabs. That jackpot, it is huge as well, and the drawing is going to take place tomorrow night. I'm Veronica De La Cruz. Thank you so much for joining me this hour. Coming up next, removing deadly landmines by hand. Our Del Walters will have a live report on Ukraine's demining experts. The news continues right here on Scripps News Live.